couple of brief comments and questions. I saw, first of all, that the proposed budget for the animal shelter is basically $900,000, which is pretty much what the actual adopted budget was for 2023. You know, we were fortunate enough, and I appreciate the fact that we passed a voucher program. We've got to have the money in the budget. I mean, it's going to cost close to $100,000, you know, over the period of the year, over 2024, in order to actually to effectuate this. I don't see anything in there at the moment for that. I mean, we have money in there now as soon as we get, you know, somebody, as soon as that woman is replaced. You know, at the shelter, the Lisa, you know, there's got to be money in there for that. Also, if somebody hypothetically, which may happen, donates a building or donates money for a building, now I don't know if this would go in the capital plan or if it goes in the budget. There obviously needs to be money in there to maintain the building, you know, which is going to cost a significant amount. And again, every other municipality on Long Island has somehow found the money in the capital plan somewhere to do it. I don't see any reason why we can't. Babylon found $12 million to build an animal shelter. You know, how they did it, I don't know, but they did it. Just a couple of quick things on there. I saw out of the $900,000, $684,000 is going to personnel. There's a line item for $134,000 for professional services. I'm guessing that's for veterinary care. You know, so I don't know if anybody has any answers for that, but I'd like to know what that is. I mean, I don't see any. First of all, there needs to be promotional money in there for the dogs. I mean, you want to get animals adopted, you need to advertise, you need to promote them. I mean, so where's the money for that? I don't even see any money in there for food. I don't see any line item for that. I see a $16,000 line item for supplies and materials. That can't be for food because I spend more than that feeding strays myself. So where's the money for food being listed there? I mean, that should be a significant, there are a decent amount of dogs there. That's got to be a reasonable expense. So I'd like to know, you know, where that money is. I mean, somebody here must have a breakdown and have some answers.
You know, we can look into the breakdown. I'm sure the food is included in the budget. You know, as to some of the other things you've mentioned, you know, it's not customary to, you know, put the money in the budget for something that we haven't agreed to yet. So, and as far as the voucher program goes, this tentative budget was submitted before
that was approved?
Before our last board meeting. So, you know, when the RFP goes out, you know, we can look into that for next year, but, you know, we wouldn't want to put money in the budget for something that hasn't been approved.
So that would go into the second, if I understand this correctly, there are 3 phases to it basically, and that would go into the second or the third phase since the voucher program has now been approved.
Well, no, not an RFP
right,
has been approved to send it out, but we have to see what comes back. You know, we have to see what we get and see what the costs are, and at that point the board will consider it.
Okay, there's also $30,000 in there for consulting and professional services. I would just like to know what that is.
Mr. Pollock, are you able to answer that?
Sure. Steve, maybe you could tell me where the food item, the line item is for that. What's that under?
Hi, Stuart.
How are you?
Good. So the commissioner is also here. If I don't have any of the answers, but food is included in the operating expense. In addition, they do have a relationship with a nonprofit that does donate a lot of food to the animal shelter. The $134,000 that you see in professional services does include the mobile clinic and also the Trapper program. I believe, and if Sean Brown, or Commissioner Brown can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the professional services and the consulting and professional services also includes veterinary care when that's required.
Okay, fair enough.
So I would like to answer one of the comments that you made. So we did pass the voucher program after we did approve the release of the RFP for the voucher program after this budget was produced. But I think that we need to look into putting some money into the voucher program for next year. Otherwise, we're going to end up being in the same situation that we were in last time, where we approved a voucher program and then there was no funding for it. So that's
right. I mean, the whole thing.
That's my
right.
approach.
I mean, unless the funding is there for 2024, the whole thing is a sham.
Yeah.
Well, we as a board can consider that, you know, throughout the year, we make, we move money from different accounts, it happens almost every meeting where we make a supplemental, budget move. So to put the money in the budget before we know what it will cost and whether there even is a viable voucher program would be,
I don't see why
a
there
little,
wouldn't be. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. I mean,
right, but I'm not, for us to ask the taxpayers to pay for something that we haven't even received yet and we haven't approved as a board yet is, not very responsible.
So you can, in a budget, you can put money in there, and just putting money in a budget doesn't mean you have to spend it.
right.
So you can put money in the budget to show a commitment towards a program. So I agree with you when I saw the 134,000, and that was one of my questions I actually forgot to ask. Steve or Commissioner Brown, am I correct in saying that 134,000 does not include the voucher program where these residents come every single month to our meeting and advocate for this program? It does not include $1 towards that voucher program in 2024, correct? Commissioner Brown or Steve?
I understand that the tentative 2024 budget keeps funding stable from the prior year with the existing programs.
Okay, so it does not include $1 towards the voucher program. Okay,
I mean, it's just, you know what, they're going to be vets. Once somebody is replaced, the voucher program, there's funding for it now. The year's going to end, before we know it. And, the vets are going to respond to this. So there's really no reason. I mean, this really should be a done deal, and there really should be money, at least some of the money should be in there now, I think.
Well, at our last meeting, there was a resolution to move $15,000 into a line for that. So we did.
this year, yeah.
Right, but that's going to cover basically till the end of the year. So we need to go forward. There needs to be money in there.
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody wants to go through this whole thing again. Yeah.
Right. Well, usually you put out the RFP first, and that way we know that we're protecting the taxpayer dollars because we wait for competitive bids to come in. That's the way we operate.
All right, let's see what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.